The call came softly. It was a whisper in Zilar's mind, not a voice, but a feeling, a deep, strange pull. It pointed to the sun, a fiery beacon in the endless dark. Zilar looked from his moon home. Earth was a blue marble far away. The sun was a distant promise, a promise of what he did not know. Oh, but the whisper grew stronger. It filled his dreams. It sang in his waking hours. He knew he had to go. He had to walk. His parents watched him. Their eyes were old, old as the moon rocks. They saw the sun fire in his gaze. They did not speak against the whisper. They knew its power. Such calls were ancient. They were part of their people's deepest lore. His mother touched his face. Her hand trembled like a leaf. His father nodded once, a silent blessing, a sad farewell. They helped him prepare. They gathered the lightest foods, the strongest, thinnest rope, a rope made of starlight and sorrow. The air on the moon was thin, cold. Zilar stood at the edge of a crater. The earth hung above him, a silent witness. The sun blazed in the black sky. It called to him like a lover, like a final home. He held the shimmering rope. It was a silver thread, a path across the impossible. He thought of the journey, 100,000 years, a walk through time itself. Fear was a small, cold stone in his gut, but the whisper was a fire. It burned away the fear. He took a deep breath. The recycled air tasted of home, of dust and memory. He would not taste it again for a long, long time. He secured one end of the rope. It clung to the moon's surface as if by magic, as if by destiny. The other end stretched out into the black towards the burning, waiting sun. This was it, the beginning of the end, or perhaps the end of a beginning. He did not know. He only knew he must walk. The whisper demanded it. The rope was thinner than a dream. Zilar placed one foot upon it, carefully, so carefully. It held his weight. It hummed with a strange energy, the energy of the void. He lifted his other foot. He was on the tightrope, between the moon and everything else. Below him the moon's white dust, above him the endless starry ocean. He felt small, infinitesimally small, a tiny speck on a silver line. He took another step and another. The moon began to shrink behind him. The silence was the first thing he noticed, a deep, profound silence. Not like the quiet of the moon, this was the silence of space, of emptiness, of eternity. It pressed against his ears, it filled his lungs. He was alone, utterly alone, with the stars as his only companions. They watched him, cold, distant eyes. They had seen countless beings, countless journeys. His was just one more tiny life walking a fragile path. But to Zilar it was everything. Earth shone like a precious jewel, blue and white and green, so beautiful, so far away now. He thought of his parents, their sad, knowing eyes. Were they watching him now? Could they see his tiny figure against the black? A pang of sorrow, a deep ache. He pushed it down. He had to keep walking. The sun waited. The whisper urged him on. Each step was a prayer, each movement a testament to his will. The rope swayed gently, a cosmic cradle, rocking him towards his fate. He walked for a day, for a week, for a month. Time began to blur. The moon was a pale disk, Earth a smaller marble, the sun still a distant fire, but it grew, oh so slowly it grew. It was pulling him. He could feel its gravity, not just on his body, but on his soul, a gentle tug, a promise of warmth, a promise of change. He walked on, into the starlight, into the unknown, the silver thread his only guide, his only hope. 1 year passed, 10 years, 100, 1,000 years slid by like grains of sand. Zilar walked, he ate sparingly, he slept in short bursts, clinging to the rope. The universe was his bedroom, the stars his flickering nightlights. He saw wonders. Nebulae bloomed like impossible flowers. Galaxies swirled like paint on a black canvas. Comets blazed past, their tails like silver ribbons. He was a silent observer, a pilgrim in the grand cathedral of space. Time had lost its meaning. There was only the walk and the sun. His body adapted. It grew lean, hard. His skin toughened against the vacuum's chill. His eyes learned to see in the deepest dark. He became part of the rope, part of the void. He remembered his home, the cool caves, the gentle glow of the earth in the lunar sky, the stories his mother told, the quiet strength of his father. These memories were his companions. They kept the silence from swallowing him whole. He carried them like treasures, close to his alien heart. The sun was noticeably larger now, a fierce white disk. It was no longer a gentle call, it was a roar, a demand. Its heat began to reach him. A faint warmth at first, Then stronger, he had to adjust his suit, shield his eyes. The rope shimmered under its growing light. It seemed to sing a new song, a song of fire and transformation. He listened, he understood. He was getting closer, much closer. The journey was long, so very long, but it was not endless. He thought about the purpose. Why this walk? Why this sun? The whisper never explained, it only urged. Perhaps there was no reason. Perhaps it was just the way of things. The universe had its cycles, its strange, beautiful, terrible cycles. He was a part of one, a tiny cog in a vast machine. He did not fight it. He accepted it. He walked on. Each step a surrender, each millennium a breath. The sun called, and he answered, with his feet, with his life. 10,000 years, 20,000. The numbers were like dust motes, meaningless in the face of such time. Zyla's mind became a strange landscape. Memories flowed like rivers. He relived his childhood on the moon, playing in the low gravity, learning the ancient star charts. He saw his parents' faces, young and vibrant, then older, etched with worry for him. He felt their love across the vastness of space, a warmth that rivaled the distant sun. It sustained him. It kept his spirit from breaking. He saw civilizations rise and fall on distant, unseen planets. He felt their echoes in the cosmic winds. Joy, sorrow, war, peace, all fleeting, all part of the great turning wheel. He was a witness, a timeless traveler. He learned the language of the stars, their silent stories, their patient wisdom. He was no longer just Zyla, the moon dweller. He was something more, something older, something woven into the fabric of the cosmos. He was the walker of the void. Sometimes doubt was a cold serpent. It coiled in his heart, whispering of futility, of madness. 100,000 years. For what? To burn? To disappear? He would clench his fists. He would look at the sun. Its brilliance chased the shadows from his mind. The whisper, though fainter now, was still there. A steady guiding hum. It was not a cruel master. It was a promise, a destiny he had chosen. Or that had chosen him. He focused on the next step, and the next. The rope beneath his feet was an old friend. It knew his every shift in weight, his every moment of weariness. It had carried him through meteor showers, through solar flares, through waves of cosmic radiation. It was strong, unyielding like his own resolve. He was a creature of patience now, forged in the crucible of unimaginable time. The sun was a blazing eye. It watched him, it waited, and he walked towards it, steadily, unflinchingly, towards the inevitable. Section 5, nearing the fiery giant. 50,000 years, 70,000, 90,000 years. The sun was no longer a disk, it was a wall of fire. It filled his vision. Its heat was immense, a searing, painful embrace. His suit strained to protect him, its outer layers charred and peeled. But Zyla felt the fire. It licked at his skin, it boiled his blood. He was walking into a furnace, a star's heart. The rope glowed, it sizzled. But it held, it was leading him home, or to an end. The light was blinding. He could barely see. He walked by feel, by instinct, by the sheer force of the sun's pull. It was a physical thing now, dragging him forward. He was a moth to its flame, a willing sacrifice. The whisper was almost gone, drowned out by the sun's roar. But he remembered its song. He remembered its promise. He was close, so close. The air around him shimmered with heat. Particles of solar wind blasted against him, each one a tiny hammer blow. His body was failing, burns covered his skin. His lungs ached with every breath of superheated, recycled air. He was tired, so incredibly tired, a weariness that settled in his bones, a weariness of ages. But he could not stop, not now. The end was in sight, the culmination of his long, impossible journey. He thought of his parents one last time. He sent them his love, his gratitude. He hoped they would understand. He hoped they would be saved. The last few steps were agony, each one a monumental effort. The rope was almost invisible in the glare. He was walking on pure light, on pure heat. The sun's surface roiled below him, a sea of fire, a dance of plasma. It was beautiful, terrifying, magnificent. He reached the point where the rope seemed to dissolve into the sun itself. This was it, the end of the line. He took a final step and fell into the fire, into the heart of the star. He did not burn, not in the way he expected. The fire consumed him, but it also changed him. It stripped away his form, his memories, his self. All the years, all the pain, all the loneliness. They melted away like ice in a furnace. He was pure energy, pure light for a moment, then a new feeling, a gathering, a focusing. The sun's core was a place of immense pressure, of impossible alchemy. He was being remade, reshaped. The essence of Zila, the walker, the alien, curled in upon itself. It became small, infinitesimally small, smaller than a grain of sand, smaller than an atom. It became a seed, a tiny dark seed, full of potential, full of the sun's own fire. It was a seed of darkness, born in the heart of light. It held all of Zylar's journey, all of his sacrifice, all of his strange destiny. It was dormant, waiting, protected by the sun's own fury. The sun did not reject the seed. It cradled it. It nurtured it. The seed was part of it now, a secret hidden within its blazing heart. For a time, nothing happened. The seed rested. It gathered strength. It absorbed the star's power. It was a patient seed. It had learned patience from 100,000 years of walking. It knew how to wait. It knew its time would come. The sun continued to burn, to shine, oblivious to the tiny change within, but the seed was alive. It held a spark, a will. The will of Zylar, transformed, refocused. It was no longer about walking, it was about growing, about becoming. The sun's energy flowed into it, feeding it, changing it. The journey was over. But a new journey was about to begin, a journey from a tiny point of darkness to something vast, something unimaginable. The seed pulsed. Once, twice, it was ready, it was time. Slowly, so slowly, the seed began to stir. Deep within the sun's incandescent core, a change was happening. A tiny root, black as the void Zylar had crossed, pushed outwards. It drew power from the star's fusion. It fed on light and heat. The seed was not destroyed by the inferno. It thrived. It was meant to be there. It was part of a plan much larger than Zylar himself could have ever comprehended. The root anchored itself firmly in the stellar plasma. Then a shoot emerged, delicate at first, yet impossibly strong. It pushed against the sun's immense pressure. It grew, millimeter by millimeter, inch by inch. It was a thing of shadow, growing in a place of perfect light. The sun's energies, which would vaporize worlds, nourished this strange, darkling plant. Its cells were unlike anything known, forged in a star's heart, imbued with the essence of a cosmic traveler. The journey of the walker was over. The journey of the grower had begun years past. Decades, centuries, the seedling became a sapling. Its trunk thickened, its branches spread. They were not branches of wood, but of solidified shadow, of condensed night. They absorbed the light around them, creating pockets of coolness within the sun's unbearable heat. The tree grew larger and larger still, a dark silhouette against the blinding furnace. It was a paradox, a life form thriving where life should be impossible, a testament to Zylar's unyielding will. The tree was a monument, a living marker of Zylar's epic journey. It reached out, its shadowy limbs stretching through the sun's layers towards the surface. It was a slow, silent conquest. The sun itself seemed unaware of the growing darkness within its heart. Or perhaps it welcomed it. Perhaps this too was part of the ancient cycle. The tree carried Zylar's purpose, a purpose he had not understood. Until now. Until it was too late for anything else. As the tree grew immense, its highest branches finally breached the sun's photosphere. They spread like a vast, dark hand, casting a shadow. A small shadow at first, a slight dimming of the sun's light, barely noticeable on distant Earth. But the tree kept growing, its canopy unfurled, wider and wider. The shadow grew with it, a creeping darkness that began to steal the sunlight from the worlds that depended on it. Earth, the blue marble Zylar had left behind, felt the change. The days grew shorter, not by the clock, but by the light. A perpetual twilight descended. The plants on Earth, starved of sunlight, began to wither. The oceans cooled. Ice crept from the poles. Panic gripped the inhabitants. They did not understand. They could not see the giant tree within their sun. They only knew the light was failing. The warmth was leaving. Life began to die. Slowly at first, then faster. A great silent anabasis. The vibrant earth turned grey and cold. All life perished. Cities crumbled into icy ruins. Forests became frozen skeletons. The seas turned to solid sheets, all except for two. On the barren, frozen moon, Zylar's mother and father survived. They had watched the sun dim. They had felt the cold reach across space. They understood. This was the purpose of the walk, the reason for the whisper. Their son was the harbinger of this change, the seed of this new darkness. They were prepared. They had always been prepared for the cycle. They lived in their ancient shielded home, sustained by moon-gathered energies. They looked up at the shadowed sun. A dark shape was visible now at its heart. The tree, Xyla's tree, their son. They felt no sorrow, only a profound cosmic understanding. The old cycle was ending. The earth was quiet, resting, waiting. They were the keepers of the memory, the watchers of the long night. Their vigil had just begun. They knew their role. The earth lay fallow under a sky lit by a muted sun. The great tree within the star cast its enduring shadow. It was a time of stillness, a pause in the cosmic breath. Xyla's parents, alone on the silent moon, were the only witnesses. They tended their small, glowing garden. They read the ancient texts. They waited. They knew the tree was not an end. It was a transformation, a necessary stage. The darkness it cast was a blanket, allowing the universe to dream anew. One day the mother felt a stirring, not a whisper from the sun, but a whisper from within, a new life. A tiny spark, conceived in the twilight of a world, nurtured by the memory of a son who became a star tree. This child would be different, yet the same, born under the shadowed sun, destined for a path unknown, but a path that felt familiar, like an echo. The father looked at his wife. He saw the ancient light in her eyes, the light of beginnings. The tree in the sun, Xyla's tree, would one day wither, its purpose fulfilled. Its shadow would recede. The sun would blaze forth anew, perhaps on a changed earth, or a new earth. The cycles were long, vast, beyond mortal comprehension, but they turned. They always turned. The new child would grow. It would hear the whispers, not of a walk to the sun, but of something else, a new journey, a new sacrifice, a new transformation. And so the story would begin again, different in its details, but the same in its heart, a journey, a change, a legacy. The universe demanded it. Life demanded it. The parents on the moon knew this. They were the bridge between one cycle and the next. Their love, their sorrow, their understanding were the seeds of the future. The shadowed sun watched. The silent earth waited. And in the quiet cradle of the moon, a new walker, a new dreamer was stirring. The path awaited, always.